By golly, it's amazing. It sounds like something you'd hear on the radio.
Presenting the transcription feature.
The Lucky Strike program starring Jack Benny with Mary Livingston, Phil Harris, Rochester Dennis Day, and yours truly, Don Wilson.
It's 8:30 New York time. Time to wake up, America, and stump the expert.
From Hollywood, it's time now for Johnny Dollar.
Kraft presents The Great Gildersleeve.
And now meet Dick Calmer as Boston Blackie.
It's the Phil Harris Alice Faye Show, presented transcribed by the makers of Rexall drug products.
And now it's time to meet the men from the ministry.
The Armed Forces Radio and Television Service presents the Bob Hope Show with Les Brown and his band of renown. And yours truly, Bill Goodwin. And now here he is, Bob Hope.
Greetings, I'm Kevin Lauderdale. Let's start off with some more Vic and Sade. Just a reminder, Vic Gook, played by Art Van Harvey, and his wife Sade, played by Bernadine Flynn, and their son Rush, played by Bill Idelson, live in the small house halfway up the next block, and they get into all sorts of adventures exploring the minutiae of everyday life. In the first of these two 15-minute episodes, young Rush wants to host a party. And in the second, we are reminded that houses used to be heated by coal. Now, the coal episode actually has the ads in it. Those are kind of rare, so enjoy those. From March 3rd, 1938, Official Host. And from July 5th, 1939, 2 Tons of Coal, number 1.
And now, get ready to smile again with radio's home folks, Vic and Sade. Well, sir, it's late afternoon as we enter the small house halfway up in the next block now. And here in the kitchen, we find Mr. Victor Gook and his son, Mr. Rush Gook. Mr. Victor Gook has drawn the kitchen table over by the sink where the light's the best, and he's doing a spot of office work at home. And Mr. Rush Gook, who just this moment arrived from school, removes his cap and overcoat. Listen.
All through there, Gav?
I am through with the actual labor. All I have to do now is copy some figures neatly on a sheet of paper.
It's all right if I talk then, huh?
You go ahead.
Mom's not upstairs?
Mom's next door, chewing the fat with Ma Donahue. What's on your mind?
I've been doing considerable thinking about the party we're going to have a week from Saturday.
Reach me my eraser. I dropped it on the floor.
That party was taken right out of my hands, you know.
So I understand.
Here.
Thanks.
Mom started out by making me official host. The party was to be in honor of Nicer Scott, and I was going to be in charge of all arrangements. But she figured too many people would have to be invited, so she decided to leave out the kids. And took over the arrangements herself.
You see the good sense of that, don't you? We can't get the population of the United States in this modest dwelling.
No, just the same.
What exactly is your beef?
If I could be reinstated as official host, I'd put on a party you'd hear about.
You have my sympathy, crab meat, but I don't see what I can do about the matter.
Well, I was thinking maybe you could persuade Mom.
To reinstate you as official host?
Yeah.
It's hardly in my department.
You'll be present at the party a week from next Saturday. You'll want to have a bang-up time, won't you?
Sure.
The plans I got worked out would guarantee you a bang-up time.
That's so?
You'd have so much enjoyment you'd never forget it.
Tell Papa.
All afternoon I've been running stuff through my head.
You went to school this afternoon, didn't you?
Yeah, but I never paid much attention in class. My mind was busy on sensational arrangements for this party. I got stunts worked out people will talk about for the next 50 years.
Sounds like you plan a social function of a rather ambitious nature.
I do.
Reach me my eraser again, will you? I seem to be all butterfingers today.
You know what the party will be like if Mom gives it, don't you?
No, what?
It'll be... Here's your eraser.
Thanks.
Dull.
The party'll be dull under your mother's management?
Well, maybe dull is a harsh word.
Maybe it is.
Maybe ordinary is better. The people will come here. They'll hang their hat and coat in the hall. They'll all go in the living room and sit down. They'll talk back and forth. After a while, Mom will whip out ice cream and cake. They'll talk a while longer. Pretty soon they say goodnight and go home. Party's all over.
That setup don't appeal to you, huh?
No. It's like everybody else's party. There's nothing different about it.
Let's hear some of your ideas.
Can I expect cooperation from you if I confide in you?
Cooperation?
Will you try to persuade Mom I ought to be reinstated as official host?
Well, frankly, Margaret, I don't think I could throw much weight. Your mother's decisions on matters like this are generally pretty cut and dried.
Well, you could try. You could come whooping in all excited and slap her on the back and say, "By golly, Sade, that Rush sure has rung the bell. He's got stunts lined up for this party a week from Saturday that'll make you jump over the People's Bank building." The basketball cheerleader, Nate Crabtree, wrote a sentence on the blackboard at a pep meeting we had last week. Sentence was, "Enthusiasm is contagious."
Enthusiasm is contagious?
Enthusiasm is contagious. And that's supposed to be true. Look, pretty soon Mom will be home. Suppose when she opens the door, you jump out of your chair like a skyrocket and say, "By gosh, kiddo, that doggone Rush has got stunts doctored up for this party a week from Saturday that'll make you swallow your shoes." Enthusiasm is contagious. Work it right and you'll have Mom reinstating me as official host in 40 seconds.
Well, what are some of these stunts of yours?
Got 'em right here in my pocket, wrote down on a piece of paper.
In the past, Melon Seed, I've noticed you're apt to show a tendency to lean towards impractical extremes. I approve of the happy fires of youth and all that, but I've reached a conservative age.
Listen to these.
Okay.
2 physicians and 3 trained nurses in constant attendance.
How's that?
If I'm reinstated as official host of the party, I'm going to have a platform in the front hallway. On this platform will be 5 chairs. In the chairs will be seated 2 doctors and 3 nurses, all dressed in white.
What's the idea?
Suppose somebody gets sick at the party.
Why should anybody get sick?
Well, some might eat too much ice cream. Others might get exhausted laughing at the jolly jokes. You can't ever tell. People are human beings and liable to get sick any minute of the day or night. Anyway, it gives class to a party. Innocent bystanders downtown will be saying, "Hey, Walter, hear about the big social function they had on Virginia Avenue. 2 doctors and 3 nurses was hired to keep eye on the guests." There'll be a piece in the newspaper. One of the most stylish events of the whole pleasure-crazed social season was given last night by Mr. Rush Cook of Virginia Avenue. Among those present was... and so forth and so on.
Got any more fancy features?
Got plenty. For one thing, I'm going to call the fire department.
You don't contemplate livening up the party by setting the house on fire?
Oh, no.
I was somewhat apprehensive. I love to see people have fun at my home, but I draw the line.
Here's the angle. Along about 9:30 in the evening, party's kind of sag. Appreciate the angle I'm attempting to put across? Different guests start yawning, and the official host begins to get desperate. He wonders, what the heck had I better do to put some pep in things? Well, I got that problem solved. I'm going to telephone the fire department.
False alarm?
Sure. Everybody enjoys watching fire wagons. And these fire wagons will stop right in front of our house. Great sport for everybody.
I have a discouraging note.
Yeah?
There's a severe penalty for turning in false alarms.
Is there?
10 years in jail or something. You can see for yourself that while the fire engines are coming here on a false alarm, a real fire might break out somewhere and make it disagreeable all around.
Yeah. Well, guess I better cross that one off my list.
Might be the best thing. What's your next stunt?
There'll be a policeman in uniform at the party. He'll walk around among the people all during the evening and sort of keep an eye on things.
You're afraid our guests will steal the spoon?
No.
What are you afraid they'll steal?
Nothing. The policeman will just be an ornament. He'll add tone to the party. Keep order and see that nobody makes a disturbance.
Very fashionable.
Ain't it, though?
I imagine the people we invite to the party will be greatly flattered.
Sure.
Of course, I hope your policeman don't find it necessary to hit any of our friends over the head with his billy club.
Oh, he won't do anything like that. He'll just mingle with the crowd. Of course, if groups start ganging up in doorways and stuff, he'll come along and holler, break it up, in a friendly sort of way. That ought to get printed in the newspaper, too. Among the stylish features at Mr. Rushcook's big social event Saturday night was the presence of a police officer who prevented riots and various other crimes. Hot stuff?
Yeah. Tell me more of your plans.
All right. Here's the big super special stunt. Everybody's going to get tattooed with my compliments.
Tattoo?
Yeah. There's a tattoo fella that's just started up business down on West Evans Street. I'm going to hire him to come out here the night of the party and tattoo all the various guests.
You going to tattoo pictures on him?
No, words. In memory of the finest social event I ever attended. Mr. Rushcook's party, March 12th, 1938. How you like that?
It's certainly different.
Another idea of mine is to have 35...
I believe that's all I got time for now, Harriet.
Going someplace?
Yeah, got these figures all copied. Think I'll stroll down to the office with him.
Well, will you work on mine?
Sure.
Persuade her I ought to be reinstated as official host at the party?
Okay.
You can see for yourself, I'll really put on a social function if I get the chance.
No doubt about it. What you gonna do now?
Telephone Rooster Davis. He'll be greatly interested in my various stunts. 4678J, please. Correct. I can trust you, can't I?
How you mean?
Not to be telling my plans around town?
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna bind Rooster to secrecy.
I won't breathe it to a soul. Well, if your mother gets home before I do, tell her I've gone.
Okay.
So long.
So long. Hello, Rooster?
And now get ready to smile again with radio's home folks, Crisco's Vic and Sade.
Telegram for Mr. Edwards. Telegram for Mr. Edwards.
Here you are, son. I'll tell you. Pardon me a minute, folks. A telegram here. Oh, it's a wire from Procter & Gamble. Says, say, this is news. Listen, I'll read it to you. Have just delivered 300 Crisco Cannon luncheon sets to Georgie Jessel's famous Little Old New York restaurant at New York World's Fair. Boy, is that something, and what a thrill for you women who are taking advantage of Crisco's wonderful new gift offer. Now think of it. New York World's Fair, the world of tomorrow. And right in the heart of it, Georgie Jessel's famous Little Old New York restaurant, where stars of stage and screen, famous celebrities from many lands meet and dine. And now, a smart new note is added. Crisco's beautiful 5-piece Cannon luncheon set. The very same luncheon set many of you friends have already sent for. The exquisite 5-piece luncheon set the makers of Crisco are offering you at a price that makes it a real bargain. You ought to see this tablecloth, folks. Really, it's a beauty. 36 inches square. And with it come 4 12-inch napkins. Now, the set is made of a fine quality, cream-colored basket weave fabric. You'll be proud to show it off because its peasant colors will give your breakfast, luncheon, or supper table that certain oomph it may need. Now, why don't you plan to be the very first in your neighborhood to own one of these famous luncheon sets? Can't you just picture your friends dropping into Georgie Jessel's famous Little Old New York Village at the New York World's Fair this summer and seeing the very same smart luncheon set you had on your very own table at home? Why, you'll be the talk of the town. Now, Crisco is making this offer solely in the interest of good food. Good food that you'll find at Georgie Jessel's World's Fair restaurant, and the good food you can give your family when you cook the modern Crisco way. Big, luscious cakes, tender, flaky pies, delicious fried foods. Let modern, creamy Crisco help you to make every mealtime occasion a real treat. What a perfect combination. Delicious food on a gay and charming cloth. Now, your question is, all right, how do I get one of these famous luncheon or breakfast sets, the kind they have at Georgie Jessel's famous New York World's Fair restaurant? Well, here's your answer. Now, listen to this. This is important. Just send your name and address, 50 cents in coin, and a Crisco label or wrapper, any size, to Crisco, Cincinnati, Ohio. 50 cents in coin, your name and address, and a Crisco label or wrapper, any size, to Crisco, Cincinnati, Ohio. This offer limited to the United States only, and please allow about 2 weeks for delivery. Now, for the life of you, don't miss out on this rare offer. Send for your Cannon luncheon or breakfast set today before they're all snapped up. Well, sir, the evening meal has been over only a little while as we join our friends in the small house halfway up in the next block now. And we find Mr. and Mrs. Victor Gook and young Mr. Rush Gook enjoying a season of postprandial ease in the living room. Their serenity is short-lived, however, for Sade has just produced consternation. Listen.
You don't mean to tell me that you want me to be going over there in Holland. Well, it's 190 degrees in the shade, Sade. I'd melt into a... You were joking all the time, weren't you?
Not joking a bit.
You mean to tell me that you'd have me move cold?
Please. Person makes an innocent little remark and fellas jump out of their undershirts screaming like panthers.
Then you were joking.
No.
You're serious when you suggest going over in Donahue's basement and carrying out 2 tons of coal?
It's got to be done, hasn't it?
Mom, tonight's the night the fat businessmen play handball down at the YMCA.
Oh, you don't have to be there, though. I was cute. Before I mentioned the coal, I said, "What you going to do this evening, Vic?" Mr. Vic said, "Nothing." I said, "You got anything up your sleeve, Rush?" Mr. Rush said, "No."
A very, very ingenious trap.
Oh, what you say we don't bother going through a lot of talking stuff? What you say we slip into our overalls and take care of this little job?
Your mother calls moving 2 tons of coal a little job.
You don't have to move it all this evening.
You're too kind, Sadie. Your heart is bigger than a tub. But I can't let you get away with so much generosity. I'll not only move your 2 tons of coal this evening, but I'll also paint the house and shingle the roof.
Some fellas hate work like they hate a snake.
Most fellas hate the idea of lugging coal around on a stifling hot day.
It's not stifling hot now. The cool of the evening set in. Why, I bet if you glance at the thermometer, you'll know... Rush, don't strain yourself fidgeting around. You're not going anyplace.
Fat businessmen are playing handball down at the YM.
Fat businessmen down at the YM never entered your noodle till I mentioned coal.
Fat businessmen down at the YM.
Go fetch you in your father's overalls.
Kiddo, let us leaven our good impulses with common sense. Before we plunge into some rash course of action, let us consider and reflect. Now, you know
Skip
yourself that...
Overalls?
Yes.
Cellar way?
Yes.
Fat businessmen down at the
Wait,
YM.
Rush.
What do you mean, wait, Rush? I told him to do something. Scoot, Rush.
Fat businessmen down at the YM are playing handball and...
Wait, Rush.
And where they're hiding up the other person down
After the mama's given the child a definite order.
Getting back to the subject of Donahue's and their 2 tons of half-wit coal, may I humbly venture the opinion that summertime is no
Let
time to be
me venture an opinion once. They moved away from Virginia Avenue, leaving that lovely pile of coal they couldn't take with them. They said they'd make us a gift of it. Coal is expensive, and here's a monstrous, big, beautiful heap of it we can have for nothing. Shall we let it go?
I'm sure you'll agree with me when I say we're hardly dying for coal in the middle of summer. We've got a long time to wait before the wintry blasts force us to huddle near the furnace and blow our breath on our blue fingers.
You'd wait till next December, huh?
I'd certainly wait till dark days are over. I'd certainly wait
Vic,
until...
don't you appreciate why we ought to get that coal in our cellar as quick as we can?
No.
2 good, solid reasons.
Mutt and Jeff, I suppose. Oh, heck, kiddo, let's
2
forget...
good, solid reasons.
What are they?
One is Mr. Erickson may rent his house any minute. If a new family moved in next door and took possession, what could we do? I bet you hadn't thought of that, had you?
No, but
It's
I'd
true,
rather...
isn't it? Could we go over next door in some strange family's basement and start carrying away coal? We could not. Why, the chief of police would be here on his motorcycle so fast it'd make your head swim. And besides
My overalls
that...
are all wrinkled.
What?
My overalls are all wrinkled.
Oh, how horrible. Now you won't be able to do a lick of work. Person certainly can't accomplish anything with wrinkled overalls. Put them on.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not have any more nonsense. Give your father his.
I don't want mine.
Oh, yes, you do. You'd be black as the 9 of diamonds in 6 seconds if you tried carrying basket loads of coal across the yard wearing a good...
Basket loads of coal?
Sure.
You propose transporting 2 tons of coal by means of rotten little measly baskets?
I don't know as they're so rotten or measly either. Them market baskets down cellar are substantial and hold a good deal.
Why don't we use teaspoons?
Be slipping them on, Rush.
Or here, I got a cavity in my tooth. I'll use that to haul coal in. If disgusting little vulgar market baskets are good enough to haul...
What would you use? A team of horses and a wagon? The coal has to be carried from Donahue's basement to our basement. Distance of about 15 feet.
Surely you listen to a reasonable...
Rush, get into them overalls. I'm not going to tell you again.
The handmen playing fat ball down at the YM are about to start...
Oh, the handmen playing fat ball down at the YM.
I mean the fat men playing handball. Fat men playing handball down at the YM.
Get in them overalls. You too, Vic. Actually, now, don't you think it's a little ridiculous to waste all this time? You got no plans for this evening. All you do'd be go sit out in the porch swing. Couple of hours of good wholesome exercise would do you good.
Getting dark. Can't work in the dark.
Drowning man grabbing for straws.
What?
Nothing. You won't have to work in the dark. Soon as it gets dark, you can quit.
You said there was 2 reasons why it was necessary to hurry up and break my back after a hot, miserable day, lugging coal around like a slob of a half-wit hippopotamus.
Yeah, 2 reasons. One of them is Mr. Erickson might get his house rented any minute. Might get it lit tomorrow. If that happened, we'd be out our lovely 2 tons of coal.
What's the other reason?
The other reason is I'm pretty sure Mr. Erickson is helping himself to that coal himself.
Yeah?
Yes. I'm pretty sure there's not a day goes by but what he don't stop by and get a few chunks and carry 'em off home in that big satchel of his.
Rather far-fetched, don't you think?
It's Miss Donna who suspects him. She told me yesterday the pile had dwindled something fierce. And don't that sound like him? Why, if he's coming every day and helping himself to a chunk of coal and sneaking it away in his satchel, it won't be very long.
Telephone is ringing.
See who it is, Rush.
Probably Bluetooth Johnson.
Well, if it is, don't get in any long, drawn-out conversations.
He probably wants me to go down to the YM and watch the fat men play handball.
Handmen play fatball.
When I said handmen play fatball, I naturally was confused with fat men.
Play handball, yeah. Answer the phone before the party hangs up.
Oh? Hello, Miss Denbottom. Just fine, thanks.
500?
Yes.
Sure.
Miss Denbottom, ma'am.
Tell him to come right over.
Well, if you people plan to indulge in cards, why can't I proceed on down to the YM and witness the...
handmen play fatball. Get out of the way.
Tell him to come right on over.
Be putting on your overalls. Hello there, 3rd Lieutenant Stanley. No, finished supper ages ago. Just sitting here with our teeth in our mouth. Uh-huh. Why, say, that sounds fine. Sure, the big muckety-muck says wonderful.
Tell him to come right over.
Why don't you do that? We'll be here. Oh, sure. All right, we'll be looking for you, lady. You bet. All right, Ruthie. Goodbye.
You coming right over?
Oh, coming right over. It's not 6:30 yet.
When are they coming?
When they usually come. Around 7:45 or kind of halfway in around through there.
Call back and say we'd like to get an early start. Say Victor wants to get up early in the morning, and if it's all the same to
now
them...
listen. You boys are going to move that coal.
Oh, Mom,
you say
no
that you still insist on
nothing
carrying coal over
about it. Mr. Erickson might get his house rented any second, and we'd be out our lovely heap of coal.
Will you please tell me how I'm going to be lugging coal and still paying 5
Well,
Go down cellar and get the market baskets, and then skip on over to Donahue's. Put on your overalls, Rush. Put on your overalls, Vic. And then run along. I'm a lady with lots of responsibility. I've got 2 little boys to look after and watch over. 2 little tiny helpless boys.
Which concludes another brief interlude at the small house halfway up in the next block. And there we leave Crisco's Vic and Sade until the next time. Now, I want to repeat the exciting telegram I read at the beginning of today's program. It's from Procter & Gamble, and here's what it says. Have just delivered 300 Crisco Cannon luncheon sets to Georgie Jessel's famous little old New York restaurant at New York's World's Fair. Now, for a limited time only, and solely to induce you to try new creamier Crisco, Procter & Gamble is offering these lovely 5-piece genuine Cannon luncheon sets at a price that makes it a real bargain. Now, these smart peasant-type luncheon or breakfast sets were made up exclusively by Procter & Gamble by the famous Cannon Mills. The tablecloth, 36 inches square, that's also bridge table size, you know, and the 4 12-inch napkins are made of a fine quality basket weave fabric in a distinctive 3-tone stripe design on a cream-colored background. Their gay peasant colors will suggest many smart color schemes for your breakfast, luncheon, or supper table. Now, here's all you do to get one of these handsome Cannon luncheon sets that you will find at Georgie Jessel's famous little old New York restaurants at the New York World's Fair. Just send your name and address, 50 cents in coin, and a Crisco label or wrapper, any size, to Crisco, Cincinnati, Ohio. This offer limited to United States only. Please allow about 2 weeks for delivery. But send for your Cannon luncheon set today. The supply is very limited. And don't forget to listen to Crisco's Vic and Sade the next time. This is Ralph Edwards speaking.
Family Theater was a drama anthology show that ran on the Mutual Network from February 13th, 1947 to the 11th of September, 1957. It was produced and sponsored, in essence, since there were no ads, by Family Theater Productions, the entertainment branch of the Family Rosary Crusade, a campaign founded by Catholic priest Patrick Peyton. If you ever heard the phrase, "the family that prays together stays together," that's where this came from. Over those more than 10 years, 540 episodes were produced, all of it designed to be family-friendly with a casual moral, but they didn't hit you over the head with it. The show was a mixture of original stories and adaptations of literary classics, usually starring big names from Hollywood. This one stars Una Merkel, who you may know from the movies The Maltese Falcon, 42nd Street, Destry Rides Again. I chose this episode because it's about what happens when a radio program attempts to switch to television as a summer replacement. I should probably explain summer replacements. We're all used to summer reruns of TV shows. Well, back during the golden age of radio, and especially when practically everything was live, there were no reruns. So shows would go on hiatus during the summer and be temporarily replaced. And believe me, they earned it. There was none of this 22 or 25 episodes per season stuff that you might see on, say, Big Bang Theory. Jack Benny regularly did between 35 and 39 shows a season during the 1940s and 50s. So summer was a good time to take a break and try out new shows and see how people liked them. From December 1st, 1954, Family Theater, this episode, Summer Replacement.
Family Theater presents Desi Arnaz and Una Merkel. From Hollywood, the Mutual Network, in cooperation with Family Theater, presents Summer Replacement, starring Una Merkel. And now, here is your host, Desi Arnaz.
Family Theater's only purpose is to bring to everyone's attention a practice that must become an important part of our lives if we are to win peace for ourselves, peace for our families, and peace for the world. Family Theater urges you to pray. Pray together as a family.
And now to our transcribed drama, Summer Replacement, starring Una Merkel as Alice.
And now, back to the solution of tonight's story on Defender of Justice.
Oh, Defender.
Yes, Miss Myers?
You're wanted on the phone. It's the governor.
And I'll take it in here.
But, Chief.
Yes, Regan?
How did you know McKenna was the killer and not old Loopy Louie, who all the time was really an FBI agent on the trail of an international narcotics ring?
Yes, Chief. How did you know that?
Miss Myers, I'm surprised at you.
Now you're talking in riddles, Chief.
Whoever would have suspected that McKenna, the wealthy scion of a Philadelphia family...
And a blue blood to boot.
You're a card, Regan, isn't he, Chief?
Yes, Miss Myers. And you've just said it, Miss Myers. That was it. His card.
Whose card?
What card?
McKenna's card. His calling card. He left it at the scene of the crime.
You're talking in riddles, Chief.
Do you see this?
McKenna's calling card, the one he left here at the office.
Identical with the one found by the body.
Then you knew all the time.
Every step of the way, Miss Myers.
Chief, you're a regular marvel.
Oh, Defender.
Yes, Miss Myers?
The governor's waiting on the line.
Of course, I'll take it. Hello? Yes, Your Excellency. What? What? I'll be right over.
What's up, Chief?
Warm up the car, Regan.
Yes, Chief.
My hat, Miss Myers.
Another case, Defender?
Yes, another case. And I'm going to call this one the case of the last defense.
Tune in again next week for another thrilling adventure with Marvin Moody, Defender of Justice. And meantime, be sure to stop in at your corner drugstore and stock up with Reet, the cooler cola that can't be beat. Remember, it's cool, it's sweet, it's all Reet. This program has come to you from Hollywood. Okay, folks, that's the show. Thanks much.
The pleasure was all yours.
Where are we getting these scripts, Marvin?
I think tonight's script was very good.
Are you kidding?
It was a crawler. Even last week's wasn't this silly.
The agency was very happy with last week's show.
That's not the way I got it.
Well, then you got it wrong, Alice. If you all must know, I wrote this script, and I wrote the one last week, too. And when we go to TV, I'm going to have even more control of the writing.
Oh, Marv, look, you got your hands full enough just being the defender of justice.
What's the matter with Billy Jackson? He gave you some fine scripts.
Billy is not with us anymore.
You mean he quit?
He was let go.
The fog is beginning to lift.
He'd begun to think he was indispensable.
I got news for you, Marv. He was.
And I've got news for you, Harry. Neither he nor anyone else connected with Defender of Justice is indispensable. We're going into TV, and we're going in big. I don't want anyone along who's going to be unhappy or try to rock the boat. You get the message?
I got you.
Alice?
After 15 years of being Miss Myers, I would hardly start standing up for my rights at this stage of the game. Chief.
Don't mind a little innocent kidding, Alice. After all, we've been together a long time.
How true.
So I just want you to know that whatever happens isn't personal. It's all for the good of the show.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nothing definite. Nothing definite at all.
That you, Ma?
Mm-hmm.
I'm out in the kitchen. Want a sandwich?
No, thanks, honey. We had a bite after the show.
You and Bob?
No, Harry Regan. I'll have a glass of milk.
Sure. He's been calling you.
Bob has?
A couple of times. You ought to break down and marry the guy, Ma.
The milk, please.
It's not every day you get proposed to by a vice president in charge of Reet.
Would you really like Bob Rayburn for a stepfather?
Oh, I think he's a great guy.
He is.
Also, he's loaded.
Pete.
Well, isn't he?
Well, that hasn't anything to do with it. We've managed very nicely.
Us and the defender of justice. Oh, front door.
Oh, I'll go, honey. You finish the sandwich.
If that's Rocky, tell him I'll be right with you.
All right.
Good evening, Alice.
Bob, come in. Pete was just saying you'd call.
Yeah. I thought about calling you at rehearsal, and then I decided I'd rather talk to you alone about this.
Very mysterious. Sit down.
Thanks.
Is anything wrong?
I think so. Or rather, I think you'll think so. It's about the show. It's going to go TV.
I know that.
No, I don't mean for next fall. It's going on live as a summer replacement for the Morton show.
This summer?
They start a week from Wednesday. radio show's been canceled.
But such a rush. It's nonsense.
J.B. doesn't think so, and he's the sponsor.
Well, when do we get a script if we're going to do the show in 8 days?
That's what I came to tell you about. You won't be doing the show.
What do you mean?
Well, it's Moody. You know, he owns the property. He sold J.B., and I'm just saying what he said.
Well, say it, Bob. What is it?
Well, he thinks you're wrong to play Miss Myers on television.
Wrong? I am Miss Myers.
I know it.
I've been playing her for 15 years.
Yeah, well, that's Moody's point.
What do you mean?
He says you're too old.
Too old?
He says the public imagines you as a girl in her early 20s.
Well, perhaps they do.
Well, he sold the old man that's how Miss Myers should look on television.
Hi, Bob.
Oh, hello, Pete.
What's the funeral?
It's nothing, honey.
She turned you down again, pal?
Pete.
Oh, just kidding.
Oh, forget it. As a matter of fact, I was saving that offer until after the shock wore off.
What shock?
Moody wants another actress to do Miss Myers on television.
How come?
Well, he says I'm too old.
That overblown meathead. When did this happen?
Moody signed the contracts this afternoon. The show starts a week from Wednesday.
So that's what he was talking about.
What?
After the show, he made a few oblique threats.
To you?
Oh, nothing definite. In fact, those were his words. Nothing definite at all. The usual speech about none of us being indispensable, and whatever he did was for the good of the show, you know.
That lardhead.
And all the time, he was sharpening the axe.
I sure wish I could suggest something, Alice.
There's nothing to suggest. If I'm out, I'm out, and that's that.
If everyone's so unindispensable, I'd like to know how Moody stays on.
Well, that's a little different. His is the unmistakable voice of the defender.
Well, he may be the voice, but he's not the picture. Phony, fat, and 50.
Hey, easy, pal. That shoe's beginning to fit.
You know what I mean, Bob. He's such a fake.
I know, Pete, I know. But your mother's got the answer. Moody is the voice of the defender, known to millions. Well, you got to start from there.
Well, isn't Mom the voice of Miss Myers?
Sure,
well, then
but...
what's the difference? Her voice is as well known as his, isn't it?
You know, Pete may have something, Bob.
Yeah, now, wait. That may be an arguing point, but let's see how we can use it.
Well, is he keeping Harry on as Regan?
Yeah, as far as I know.
Well, then there it is. The public won't be fooled for a minute. Miss Myers will be the only new voice.
And it'll stand out like a sore thumb.
Now, I just think we may have an angle here. J.B. feels very strongly about character identification. That's what surprised me most. I don't know how Moody put it through with him.
Oh, that's Rocky. I'll get it.
You going out?
Just down the movie. Be right with you, Rock. Will I be needed for the rest of this conference?
No, you go ahead, but don't be too late, son.
I won't. You want me to bring home some ice cream?
Swell. Have fun.
So long, Bob. Smash that sponsor.
I'll do the best I can. Oh, you know, Alice, there's one of the few human beings under 21 that I've ever genuinely liked.
Does it remind you of Jim?
Yeah, an awful lot.
Maybe that's the answer.
Yeah, maybe. And then again, it reminds me of you, which might also be the answer.
You're very sweet.
They don't come any sweeter, and remember, folks, this offer is limited.
Really?
No, not really. Hey, what about it, honey?
Bob.
Look, I don't think I'm kidding myself. I love you. And I understand it's mutual.
You know it is.
And I don't expect to take Jim's place. I wouldn't want even
That isn't it, Bob. I've been a widow for a long time, and it's not a case of taking anyone's place.
Well, then what is it a case of? This thing's been on dead center now for almost a year.
Well, it was Pete to begin with. I told you about that. You can't just toss a new father to boy and expect him to do handsprings about it.
Pete and I hit it off right away.
I just wanted to be sure.
All right, so now you're sure.
I've been sure for a lot longer than now. Oh, well, you probably won't believe this, but it's true. I decided to say yes, as you must know I've wanted to for a long time.
Oh, Alice.
Let me finish. I decided to a few days ago. I even put it up to Pete again just before you came in tonight to be sure how he felt.
Yeah, and what'd he say?
He said you were a great guy.
Love that Pete.
He also reminded me that you were loaded.
Oh, well, I am. That's one of my finer points.
That's the trouble just at the moment.
Oh, Alice, you're not going to give me that you're rich and I'm poor.
Of course not, but if I married you right now, it could look very cold and calculating and messy.
Well, what are you talking about?
Bob, I've just been fired. I'm unemployed.
Oh, now, come on.
I have. I'm out of work. So what do? Bounce into the arms of the nearest account executive?
Alice, let's not get silly about
this.
Well,
how else do you think it'll look? How would it look to you?
How would what look to me? I haven't made any secret of how I feel about you.
But I have, or at least I haven't broadcast it because of Pete.
Well, so what?
So all of a sudden I'm off the show, and the next thing everyone hears, you and I are going to be married. It'll look like I was desperate and I hooked you for a meal ticket.
Oh.
It will, Bob.
Well, I don't care how it looks.
Of course you do, and you should.
I don't see why we can't leak it that you're quitting the show because we're getting married.
Because that isn't how it would leak, not with Big Mouth Moody at large.
Oh. Well, at least you're not fired yet. At least not officially.
You think Pete's idea about my voice...
No, I think it's worth trying. That's all I think.
If they aren't changing the others...
It's a good arguing point.
Uh-huh.
A very good one. Now, well, I should tell you this. I didn't put up much of a fight when I first heard that you were being replaced. You won't need to work anyhow.
But, Bob, I enjoy working.
I know, honey, and I knew it then. Just being selfish. Now the whole thing's turned around.
You know yourself how bad it would look.
Can you come down to the office at 10:30 tomorrow morning?
I think so. Why?
I'm going to set up a meeting for then with Moody and the old man.
You think you can change their minds that quickly?
I'm going to have to. The show goes into rehearsal tomorrow afternoon.
I hope you realize, J.B., that I have 1,000,001 things to do before rehearsal.
I know, Marv, and you'll get 100% cooperation from us.
Then just what is such a burning issue that Rayburn can't wait until
He didn't give me all the details, Marv, but it has something to do with replacing Alice.
Oh, that's all been thrashed out.
Not with me, it hasn't.
J.B., I thought we had an understanding.
We have a perfect understanding, Marvin. You're the defender of justice, and I'm the sponsor. You understand that, don't you?
Yes, of course, J.B., but this borders on a usurpation of my creative authority, and it clearly states in my contract...
I'm familiar with the contract, Marvin. My lawyers prepared it, including the cancellation clause.
Oh, yeah.
Come in.
It's us, J.B.
Good morning, Bob. Alice?
Good morning, Mr. Rogers. Marv.
Morning, Alice and Rayburn. Now, what's all this about?
This is about your decision to replace Alice.
Well, I'm sure she realizes that it's nothing personal.
Oh, that's neither here nor there. It's the wisdom of the decision that I'm questioning.
On what grounds?
That Alice is indispensable to the show.
No one is indispensable to the show.
That I contest, and I think J.B. will agree with me. To begin with, you are indispensable.
That's a nice bit of flattery, Rayburn,
but
I
assure you, Moody, it's not flattery. It's fact. For all of your physical shortcomings, and let's face it, you're no matinee idol.
Now, look here.
I told you it wasn't flattery. For all of your shortcomings, you are the voice of the defender. And people will expect you to be the defender on television as you are on radio. And they'll accept you as you are because they want the real article.
I think I'm a little ahead of you, Rayburn. You're going to tell me that the same situation will apply to Alice?
Exactly. And I think J.B. will agree with me.
Do you, J.B.?
I must admit I'm leaning that way, Marv. You said yesterday you thought you could get around this problem.
Yeah, I can, and I have. Alice.
Yes?
Can I be brutally frank?
I don't think there's ever been much doubt of it.
It's your voice, is it not, that our faithful audience will expect to hear from the lips of Miss Myers on television?
Yes.
They have no knowledge of your appearance?
No.
So, if the voice is the same, we've solved the problem, have we not, J.B.?
Well, I would certainly think so.
Precisely. Now, would you all be good enough to accompany me to the studio? There's someone over there I'd like you to meet. Miss Pearson.
Yes, Miss Moody?
Ellen, I'd like you to meet some friends of mine.
I'd be glad to.
This is our sponsor, Mr. Rogers.
Pleasure, Miss Pearson.
Mr. Rogers?
Mr. Rayburn, our account executive.
How do you do?
Mr. Rayburn?
And finally, Alice Stanley.
How do you do?
So you're Alice Stanley. It's like meeting a long-lost friend.
It is?
Oh, yes, and I must say you're just as I pictured you.
Why, thank you.
Ellen has made a very close study of you, Alice. A very close study.
She has?
Indeed, she has. Ellen, would you step over there to that microphone while we go into the control booth?
Yes, of course.
Would you follow me, please?
Marv, what's this all about?
You'll all see shortly. What do you think of her?
Miss Pearson, she's a knockout. Why?
She's going to be our Miss Myers.
That kid?
She's the one.
Now, look here, Marv. The girl's not the Miss Myers type.
You mean she's not the voice type, don't you? The character of Miss Myers doesn't exist except as a voice.
Well, that's true, but this girl doesn't sound the least bit like Alice.
Now, wait and see. Hand me that talk back, will you, Rayburn?
Oh, sure, yeah.
There you go. Ellen, Miss Pearson.
Yes, Mr. Moody?
Stand by the mic for a moment. I want you to recite something for these people.
All right.
Alice, speak into the talk back here and say, "My name is Alice Stanley, and I have been playing the role of Miss Myers on the Defender of Justice show for 15 years.
What?
Let's go ahead and say it. I want to give J.B. something for a basis of comparison.
Well, as you wish. My name is Alice Stanley, and I have been playing the role of Miss Myers on the Defender of Justice show for 15 years.
Did you hear that, Ellen?
Yes.
Hi, Moody, what is
You'll see in a moment. And now, Ellen, do you think you could repeat that back to us?
Word for word?
Yes. And do it as Miss Myers would.
Okay. My name is Alice Stanley, and I have been playing the role of Miss Myers on the Defender of Justice show for 15 years. Was that all right?
Yes, that was perfect. Well, gentlemen.
I wouldn't believe it if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes.
Quite a remarkable imitation, don't you think, Alice?
Remarkable.
Does this resolve any doubts you have, Rayburn?
Well, I don't think she can keep it up week after week.
No, I don't intend that she shall. As the television audience becomes gradually accustomed to Ellen, you see, in the role of Miss Myers, we will drop her imitation of Alice altogether.
Very resourceful indeed.
Nothing personal, you understand, Alice?
I understand. Mm-hmm.
It's for the good of the show.
Mom?
Yes, Petey?
Did I wake you?
No, I was just resting. Is the show over?
Yeah, just finished. Still got the headache?
A little better. Just took a couple of aspirin. How'd you like it?
The show? Yeah. Moody went up on his lines twice.
Oh?
Lost. Didn't even know what channel he was on.
How did the girl look?
Like his granddaughter.
Oh, don't work so hard at being loyal, honey. I mean, how did she sound? How did she act?
You watched the rehearsals. She sounded like you, and she acted like a chorus girl.
Well, you got anything against chorus girls?
Not in the chorus.
Well, I think I'll get up and have a cup of coffee. You expecting anyone?
No, I'll get it. Oh, hi, Bob.
Pete, how's everything?
Good. Come in.
How you doing, honey?
Pretty good, Bob. I thought you'd be at the show.
No, I left after the dress rehearsal. How'd you like it?
I didn't watch it. Pete said it looked fine.
All but Moody.
And how did he look?
Like Moody.
Well, the old man seemed satisfied, or at least not dissatisfied.
I was just going to make some coffee. Have a cup?
Sure.
Petey?
You folks go ahead. I told Rocky I'd drop over after dinner.
Well, don't be out too late, honey.
Tell her I'm a big boy now, huh, Pop?
Well, after all, Mother, he is growing like a weed.
And I'll cut him down like same, and you too.
Oh, rough.
Go on, get out of here.
So long, Pete. Hey, that feels good. You know, to have him call me Pop. I mean, even kidding.
Bob.
Now, look, before you say anything...
I wasn't going to say anything. I haven't already said.
All right, Alice, then listen to me.
We've been through it 5 times in the last 5 days. No, Bob. I'm not going to do something that will make you look like a fool and me a scheming woman.
Alice, be sensible.
I'm being sensible.
Oh, some grand position this is.
Oh, don't talk nonsense.
I'm not talking nonsense.
You are. I love you, Bob, very deeply and honestly.
Sure.
I do. But it's my son who's 17, not me. I've had the moonlight. I've had the roses.
Who's talking about that?
You are. We're not kids anymore. We can't strike out for new friends, new frontiers.
I'm not suggesting we should.
Then why won't you face the fact that the people we know and the world we have to live in will treat you very cruelly if I suddenly blossom forth in the next few weeks as Bob Rayburn's unemployed bride?
Oh, I think you're absolutely crazy.
I don't care what you think.
Yes, I'm beginning to believe that.
Oh, Bob, listen.
No, I've listened long enough, and I think I've waited long enough. Because if you're more concerned with what a lot of 15-cent phonies like Moody and that gang think of you...
And of you.
Okay, then you stay noble and single.
Oh, won't you even try to understand?
I think I do. I think I understand perfectly, Alice.
Bob.
You got off the hook very smoothly. Goodbye.
Morning, Miss Atkins.
Oh, Miss Stanley, I thought you'd never get here.
What's all the excitement?
Well, didn't Mr. Rogers tell you over the phone?
Well, no, he was very brief.
They started pouring in less than an hour after the show last night.
What started pouring in?
The telegrams and phone calls. Oh, excuse me. Yes, Mr. Rogers.
Will you call Miss Stanley's home and see if she's left yet, Miss Atkins?
She just came in the office.
Well, send her in here, woman. Send her in here.
Yes, sir, right away. They're waiting for you, Miss Stanley.
Who?
J.B., Moody, and Mr. Rayburn.
Mr. Rayburn?
They've been in conference since 8:30. Please, Miss Stanley, if you don't go right in, J.B. will chew my head off.
All right.
Thanks much.
Alice, come in.
J.B., I don't think we should lose our heads over this.
Good morning, Alice.
Bob.
You worry about your own head, Marvin. Mine's on securely. Alice, sit down.
Now, you can't judge the whole picture from a few telegrams.
What's going on?
You mean a few hundred?
You'll see.
Furthermore, I have my suspicions about this spontaneous reaction to last night's show. I never heard of such a thing happening.
Well, you've heard of it now. Just look at them. Wires, phone messages from all over the country. How much proof do you want?
Mr. Rogers.
Alice, it's been fantastic. You won't believe it.
I won't believe what?
The following you have, the loyal fans. I knew it in my heart. Even that Pearson girl remarked, you look just as she pictured you.
Will somebody please explain
Well, the show
what...
got an immediate reaction, Alice. Everybody wanted to know why we didn't use the real Miss Myers on television.
Just read some of these wires. Listen to this. I quote, "Who ever told that old goat he could act?" Oh, no, that one's about you, Marvin.
Old goat?
Yes. Oh, yes, here we are. "We have always imagined Miss Myers to be an attractive, intelligent woman, not a college girl. We'll swallow lots of reet. You see, they even use a product. But we can't swallow the new Miss Myers. Signed, Edna Wilson, Indianapolis, Indiana."
And that's just a sample.
They all say the same thing. Even our butlers and distributors wired complaints.
That's what I don't like about this, J.B. It sounds like a campaign. An organized campaign.
And who
designed...
do you think organized Miss Wilson of Indianapolis, Indiana, or all those other hundreds of people around the country?
I'm talking about your salespeople and the distributors.
What about them?
They aren't the people who buy your product.
No, but they sell it. And when they're not happy with a sales gimmick, I scrap the gimmick.
Well, that's different.
I've got news for you, Moody. The Defender of Justice is a sales gimmick.
Yeah, in a broad sense, yeah.
In the narrowest sense possible. I'm not paying $14,000 a week to listen to you huff and puff.
Now, just a minute, J.B.
I want people to drink reet.
Oh, as do I, J.B., as do I.
Well, they won't drink it if they're all upset about who's playing Miss Myers.
But that will pass, J.B.
It will not. They'll get fed up with looking at a phony show, and they'll turn to another channel. And the next thing you know, they'll be drinking root.
Root?
Our competitors drink. Now, don't act like you never heard of it.
Oh, yes, I've heard of it, yeah.
Then it's all settled. Alice?
Yes, Mr. Rogers?
You start next week as the real Miss Myers on television.
Oh, do you really mean it?
I do. And Mr. Moody is perfectly agreeable, aren't you, Marvin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Miss Atkins has probably finished typing up the contracts. Would you mind signing them on your way out, Alice?
I'd be delighted.
Alice, would you be half as delighted to have lunch with me?
I'd love to, Bob.
I'll join you.
You will not. I want to talk to you, Marvin.
Won't it keep J.B.?
No. Do you have a reducing machine?
A reducing machine?
Would you excuse us, J.B.?
Oh, yes, by all means, by all means.
Now, what would I want with a reducing machine?
I feel you're a bit paunchy for a defender of justice.
Now, J.B., I'm nothing but skin and bone.
Be that as it may, you've got too much skin.
Oh, I've got a feeling the defender of justice is in for a bad half hour.
Oh, Bob.
Well, then, how does it feel to be employed again?
I don't care about that.
I was hoping that's what you'd say.
When I think how angry you were last night...
Oh, I wasn't so angry.
I know.
What do you mean you know?
I know why all those wires from the distributors and bottlers came in. You contacted them, didn't you?
Well, why not? J.B. wanted their reaction. I didn't load the question. I just asked them what they thought of the new Miss Myers.
You faker.
No, there wasn't anything fake about it. If they liked her, they'd have said so.
I wonder.
Well, you don't have to wonder about the wire we got from Miss Wilson in Indianapolis. I couldn't drum that up.
What did you do? Phone each one of the distributors?
It was on my own bill. The firm didn't get hooked for it.
Oh, Bob, it must have cost you a fortune.
And what of it? As my future stepson says, I'm loaded.
But that was no reason, dear.
The best reason you can have in this business.
What do you mean?
It was for the good of the show.
Oh.
This is Desi Arnaz again. You know, a friend of mine went to a meeting the other night at which the topic was atomic defense. I suppose a great many of these meetings are being held right now all over the world, and many perhaps right at this very moment. We started talking about what happened in the meeting, and he told me, cities are always boasting about how self-sufficient they are until they have to prepare for some emergency. It's only then that they seem to realize how dependent they are upon outside help. In fact, it's only when you survey conditions that you realize how dependent everyone is upon things that were placed in the earth, on the earth, and around the earth long before man came. I mean such things as air, water, wood, fuel, minerals. We are so accustomed to summoning electricity out of a switch and water out of a faucet that we never really think of these things. Well, my friend's words gave me plenty to think about. And out of that thinking comes this conclusion. Man has to look outside himself too, not only for the things placed on the earth long before he came, but for someone who existed long before he did. Someone whom even the heavens cannot contain, God. And how do we call for his help? Through prayer. But prayer is not to be only thought of in terms of disaster, for it's both a preparatory and a preventive measure. In fact, a mighty good course of daily action. Now, family theater again reminds you, the family that prays together stays together.
More things are wrought by prayer than this world dreams of. From Hollywood, the Mutual Broadcasting System has brought you Transcribed, Summer Replacement, starring Una Merkel. Desi Arnaz was your host. Others in our cast were Gene Bates, John Daner, Lawrence Dobkin, Marvin Miller, Howard Culver, Jeffrey Silver. The script was written and directed for Family Theater by John T. Kelly, with music composed and conducted by Harry Zimmerman. This series of Family Theater broadcasts is made possible by the thousands of you who feel the need for this type program, by the Mutual Network, which has responded to this need, and by the hundreds of stars of stage, screen, and radio who give so unselfishly of their time and talent to appear on our Family Theater stage. To them and to you, our humble thanks. This is George Crowell expressing the wish of Family Theater that the blessing of God may be upon you and your home, and inviting you to be with us next week when Family Theater will present The Coat, starring Gene Evans. Irene Dunn will be your hostess. Join us, won't you? Family Theater is broadcast throughout the world and originates in the Hollywood studios of the world's largest network. This is Mutual, the radio network for all America.
That's your old-time radio fix for this week. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Be sure to subscribe to The Chronic Rift on iTunes or visit us frequently at chronicrift.com.
Hit it! Ding-a-ding-a-doo, a-ding-a-ding, a-ding-a-doo. What a voice! What a voice! Simply means ink. A-ding-a-doo, a-ding-a-ding. Good night, folks. Signing off.
You've heard about those Hollywood parties. Now, Peter Sellers invites you to the party. If you've ever been to a Wilder party, you're under arrest.